The UEFA Champions League? Nah, I think it's pronounced different. It's the UEFA Cristiano League.
And then Ronaldo! What a goal by Cristiano Ronaldo!
Ronaldo made this competition his own. His records speak numbers. And on European football's greatest stage, he's got so many incredible performances, I just had to make a video on how Ronaldo turned Europe's biggest competition into his personal record book. Ronaldo and the Champions League go back. I'm talking as far as 22 years ago. He made his debut in the competition in the qualifying round for Sporting Lisbon against Inter Milan, and it wasn't until the next season when he signed for Manchester United that Ronaldo got to debut in the competition proper. In the 5 Champions League games he played that year, he didn't score, and at the time there wasn't anything to suggest that Ronaldo would dominate the competition. He failed to score in his first 18 Champions League games, bagging 3 assists in the process. But it all clicked for Ronaldo in the 2006-07 season. It was here he started to grab the world's attention on a continental stage. His first goal contribution of the season was clutch, the assist in a 1-0 win versus Benfica, and this one would have meant even more too, being a local kid from Sporting Lisbon. Getting one over his former Portuguese rivals would have been special. Still though, Ronaldo was yet to score. 27 games had passed now, and he figured it was time to break his Champions League duct. And finally, the moment came. He bagged a brace against Roma in the quarter-final second leg win at Old Trafford, his first 2 goals in the competition. Now Ronaldo was finally off the mark, it was all about building on what he'd started, and that's where things started to get pretty interesting. Ronaldo's best moments in the Champions League are insane, and it all kicks off with the first big one of his career, the 2008 Champions League final. That season, Ronaldo had balled out. He'd managed to keep the goals coming in a steady supply that year. 7 goals in 10 matches leading up to the final. And in the last hurdle against Chelsea, Ronaldo showed his class. Imagine going your first 28 games without a goal in the competition and bagging one in the final only a few matches later. See, Ronaldo was building up to something. He finished with 8 goals in the competition that year, was the top scorer, and helped United win the Champions League. He wasn't quite as prolific in the competition the following season, but that didn't mean Ronaldo was quiet all through. See, he's the type of guy who can make a statement at any point in the game. And back on Portuguese turf, the Porto fans got to find out firsthand. This goal was so insane that it made Ronaldo become the first winner of the Puskás Award for the best goal of the year. In the summer of 2009, Ronaldo made the then $80 million world record switch to Real Madrid. And at his new club, his mission was simple. Ronaldo needed to make the Champions League his own. Real Madrid had a measurable amount of success in La Liga and domestic competitions, but it was the Champions League they were after. They hadn't won in the competition since 2002, and had watched their Spanish rivals Barcelona win it twice in 3 years. So they decided to go all out and get the guy who'd done the damage for United. Initially, Real Madrid came for Ronaldo after his Champions League success with Manchester United in 2008. But he decided to stay 1 more year in Manchester. By 2009 though, Ronaldo knew it was time for a new chapter, and at Real Madrid he warmed up to become a star. Real Madrid failed to make it out of the group stage that year, but Ronaldo had a more than decent campaign, with 7 goals and 1 assist in 6 games. The 2010-11 season was more of the same thing, although it featured an improvement as a collective unit. Ronaldo had 6 goals and 4 assists in 12 games, and even though United got to the semi-finals of the Champions League that year, they ultimately lost out to Spanish rivals Barcelona. In 2011-12, under Jose Mourinho, Ronaldo made a statement in the Champions League. 10 goals and 3 assists in 10 games. The first time Ronaldo managed double-digit numbers in the competition. He bagged in crucial games leading up to the semi-finals against Bayern Munich, and after scoring twice against Bayern at the Bernabeu, it should have been easy to book Madrid a ticket to the final, but Bayern had other plans. They scored late on to force the game to a penalty shootout. And in that moment, something happened to Ronaldo that changed him in the competition forever. He missed in the shootout versus Bayern. For context, that Real Madrid team in La Liga was perfect. The first team to reach 100 points in the league. The Champions League should have been the crowning moment. But after Ronaldo's miss, alongside Kaká and Ramos, the Champions League dream was over, and Ronaldo had a huge debt he knew he had to pay. The 2012-13 season was another nearly one for Ronaldo. 12 goals and 1 assist in 12 games, double digits in Champions League goals in back-to-back seasons, and he even managed his first hat-trick in the competition against Ajax. But once again, Real Madrid fell short when they almost had it. Ronaldo scored in 6 straight games in the competition from the last group stage game to the semi-final first leg. But it wasn't enough to beat Borussia Dortmund in the semis. They lost 4-3 on aggregate, and even though he won the Ballon d'Or that year, the Champions League was still the peak for Ronaldo. And after the disappointment of getting close for 3 seasons in a row, he was determined to change that. At this stage, Ronaldo had become one of the most reliable goal scorers in the Champions League. His numbers continued to improve. He'd now scored 35 goals in 4 seasons in the Champions League for Real Madrid and was the top scorer in the competition for 2012-13. But they still hadn't won it yet. And Ronaldo became an entirely different beast because of this reason in 2014. He was special and really made the Champions League his own. He began the competition with a hat-trick versus Galatasaray, a statement of intent. Ronaldo followed this up by scoring in every Champions League group stage game he played in that season. He scored back-to-back braces against Schalke 04 in both legs of the round of 16, scored against Borussia Dortmund in the quarterfinals, and in the semis, Ronaldo made history. See, this goal here, the opener against Bayern Munich, was Ronaldo's 50th goal in the Champions League for Real Madrid. He added another one to ensure Real Madrid would make it to the final that year. And against City rivals Atletico Madrid, Ronaldo scored a penalty in extra time to seal a 4-1 win. For the first time in 12 years, Real Madrid had become champions of Europe, and Ronaldo had broken records in the process. 17 goals and 5 assists in 11 games. Ronaldo set the record for the most goals in a single Champions League season that campaign. Top scorer in back-to-back editions of the competition, his 3rd time overall. It was always going to be hard to try and repeat that feat. Didn't mean Ronaldo wasn't going to try though. 2014-15, he finished as the competition's top scorer again, 3 times in a row. He bagged 10 goals in the competition, scoring against the likes of Liverpool and Juventus. But in the end, Real Madrid got knocked out by the Old Lady in the semi-finals and failed to defend their title. Ronaldo's top scorer award was joint too alongside Lionel Messi and Neymar, who also had 10 each for Barcelona. Still, it took away nothing from the fact that he was steady making the competition his own. At this point, every game he played in was bound to be a statement performance. And it's crazy to think about it because in the next season, Ronaldo had transitioned. He was now in his clutch era, and the Champions League became his playground. At the time, the Champions League all-time top scorer award was following a similar pattern, contested between Ronaldo and Messi. It was now down to who wanted it more, and that season, Ronaldo went extra to get it. He scored a hat-trick on the opening day versus Shakhtar Donetsk, the second time he'd been starting the competition by grabbing the match ball, and this directly put him on 80 goals in the competition. 80! This wasn't even his best part of the season. I'll get to that soon. First though, see that subscribe button to Mr. Football? Click it so you never miss any of the action. Like I said, Ronaldo had now evolved, and this evolution meant he turned the Champions League into a clutch competition. Coming into the quarterfinals that year, Ronaldo had bagged 13 goals and 4 assists in 8 games. But in the quarterfinal first leg against Wolfsburg, they got the biggest shock of their competition so far. It wasn't just a 2-0 loss, it was the way it happened. Wolfsburg became so confident of the result against Madrid, it felt like the Madrid players were actually going to buckle under the pressure. In the second leg at the Bernabeu, Madrid knew they needed a response. Question is, no one was quite sure how it was going to come, except Cristiano himself. A hat-trick to send Madrid through. What a performance! Ronaldo still had one more clutch performance in him. Madrid got to the final versus City rivals Atletico Madrid again. This time the game did go to a penalty shootout, and after Atleti's Juan Fran missed it, it was down to the final spot kick. The pressure was on. If Ronaldo scored, Madrid would win it. If he didn't, the shootout would continue. He was up against one of the best goalies in the world, Oblak. But in that moment of pressure with the whole world watching, CR7 came clutch. Game. Ronaldo called game. The penalty meant a second title in 3 years for Madrid in the Champions League, and he'd scored the penalty to win it. At the time, the Champions League witnessed something weird going on. In the 25 years since it got rebranded in 1992 at the time, no team had ever managed to retain the Champions League back-to-back. Always witnessed a different winner every year from the season before. So Ronaldo and Real Madrid had a new mission to achieve now. The aim was to make history. Honestly, the 2016-17 season showed just how much of a beast Ronaldo is in the competition. And with that being said, he started badly. After scoring in the opening 2 games versus Sporting and Borussia Dortmund, Ronaldo went on his worst run since his early United days in the competition. He went 6 complete games without a Champions League goal. It wasn't as if Ronaldo wasn't performing, because the thing is, in those 6 games he had 6 assists. An average of 1 assist per game. But being the type of player he is, Ronaldo was always going to be judged based on the amount of goals he scored. And to that aspect, he was far off. Lionel Messi, Robert Lewandowski, Edinson Cavani, the names all ahead of Ronaldo, who coming into this quarterfinals had only scored 2 goals. The thing with Ronaldo in this competition is that it only takes a moment. And once that spark gets going, there's no stopping him. And at the Allianz Arena, Bayern Munich found out firsthand. Ronaldo 2-1, Bayern Munich won. Madrid had a lead to take into the second leg at the Bernabeu, and on that magical night on April 18th, 2017 in the second leg, Ronaldo reached an incredible milestone. This hat-trick against Bayern Munich now meant that Ronaldo had scored 100 goals in the Champions League. This is crazy. For a guy who went his first 27 games without a goal, he'd popped up with 100 in 117 appearances later. Damn. That wasn't the only impressive thing that night. Ronaldo was also slowly making his way up the goal-scoring charts. He now had 7 in the competition, but it still looked like a pretty hard task trying to match his record of double-digit goals in the competition for the last 5 seasons. Except again, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Semi-finals versus Atletico Madrid, Ronaldo hat-trick, 10 goals in the competition already. Ronaldo always pops up against Atletico Madrid. They must have been sick of him. The interesting thing about this, as we touched on in the quarter-final stage, Ronaldo only had 2 goals in the Champions League, meaning he'd scored 8 goals in 3 games to hit his 10th, and he still wasn't done. The final against Juventus in Cardiff. Juventus lost to Barcelona last time out and were out for revenge. Real Madrid, on the other hand, was determined to break the jinx. Manchester United had tried it in 2009 and failed. That's the closest anyone had come to back-to-back Champions League wins. And now Madrid was on the verge of the impossible. They needed all their star players on show. And with the stakes that high, you just knew he was going to turn up. A brace in the final. Real Madrid 4-1, Juventus. The first team in Champions League history to win the competition back-to-back, and for Ronaldo, he'd now bagged 12 goals. Not only to top Messi's 11 in incredible circumstances, but he'd also now finished as the top scorer in the competition for the last 5 seasons in a row. What a guy! Doing it twice felt so good that they decided to go for a third. This time there wasn't going to be any slow start for Ronaldo. In the 2017-18 season, he hit it right off. Ronaldo scored in every group stage game. 2 versus Apoel Nicosia at the Bernabeu, 2 versus Dortmund away from home, a goal against Spurs, another goal against Spurs in the return leg, 2 against Apoel Nicosia again away from home, and a goal versus Dortmund at the Bernabeu. In the round of 16, they got drawn against a PSG team that now had Neymar and Mbappe in attack. Almost felt as if the forces in football were trying to make sure Madrid found it impossible to defend the trophy for a 3rd time. But in this competition, once you've got Ronaldo on your team, it's an added advantage already. 2 goals versus PSG at the Bernabeu, a goal versus PSG at the Parc des Princes, through to the last 8. This time, they were up against the team they beat in the final last year, Juventus. And in the first leg at the Allianz Stadium, Ronaldo produced the most iconic goal in Champions League history. It doesn't get any better than this. A goal that lives rent-free in the head of any football fan. That goal is immortal. He did this at 33 years old too. Damn, that goal was Ronaldo's 2nd on the night and helped Real Madrid to a 3-0 win over Juve away from home. It should have been smooth sailing in the second leg, but the old lady wasn't giving up just yet. They bagged 3 and were on the verge of forcing the comeback and taking the game to extra time. But all Madrid needed was just one moment, and after they got awarded a penalty with seconds left to play, they needed clutch Ronaldo again. This one was simple: score and Madrid advances to the semis. Miss and the game goes to extra time. Pretty sure you can guess what happened next. Of course he scores, it's Ronaldo. Even though he didn't know it at the time, this moment was going to be bittersweet for Ronaldo, because he just scored his last goal for Real Madrid in the competition. The team managed to beat Bayern Munich in the semis on both legs and beat Liverpool in the final 3-1 to make history. And Ronaldo at the time became the first guy to win the Champions 5 times. The top scorer for the 6th straight season. History made. But also the end of an era. He left to Juventus in the summer. The old lady made the mission clear to Ronaldo why they bought him: to do for them what he's done for Real Madrid in the competition. But no matter how hard he tried, Ronaldo alone couldn't break the jinx. He still had some iconic moments with Juve in the competition though, like that hat-trick against you-know-who, Atletico Madrid again. Ronaldo 3-2 Atletico Madrid in the round of 16 after 2 legs. They lost to Ajax in the quarterfinals, and unfortunately that became a theme for Juve. Over the next 2 seasons, they lost to Lyon and Porto in stages where they should have advanced. And Ronaldo was done. His next mission, he was going back home. And in the competition he'd lit up in Manchester all those years back. Ronaldo showed he'd still got it. In the 2021-22 season with United, he had 6 goals in 7 Champions League games, including clutch moments against Atalanta and Villarreal. Unfortunately, the moment ended bittersweet, and after getting knocked out by Atletico Madrid in a wicked twist of fate, Ronaldo realized later on that he'd played his last game in the competition. 183 games, 140 goals, 8 hat-tricks, so many clutch moments. Ronaldo made the Champions League his own. To date, no one has more goals than him in the competition. And it'll take something almost impossible to beat his record: the UEFA Cristiano League. Right now though, his next record-breaking move isn't on the pitch. Technically, it's off it. Bet you didn't know Ronaldo had a new football game that aims to take over from EAFC. And you can find out all about it in the next video, the UFL, Ronaldo's new game ready to destroy EAFC.